Hello family, this is Tierney Cherie and I'm here with a new video. I wanted to do a review of the Tupac movie, All Eyez on Me. So just to give some context for myself, I don't listen to hip hop religiously as much as other people. However, there's a few people who've always stood out to me, and a few rappers that I have gravitated to over the years, and one of them is Tupac. I would say Tupac is my favorite rapper because I love hearing content that is real but is particularly um, reflects on black struggle and what it means to be a black man and what it means to be a black woman. And so I'm a big Tupac fan, and I was really excited whenever I heard that there's going to be a movie about him. Now, of course, there's been a lot of controversy regarding this movie. A few weeks ago, I believe some of Tupac's family came out and said that this movie was not authorized by, I think, Afeni Shakur or something like that. Recently, Jada Pinkett Smith went on Twitter and she gave her comments on the portrayal of her relationship with Tupac, and basically said that the movie made up a lot of things regarding that relationship. And because of that, I feel like a lot of people are kind of turned off by the movie. And of course, John Singleton, he's been very vocal about his dislike of the movie or of the process of making the movie because he was essentially fired from the movie. So because of all this surrounding it, there's a lot of negative talk about the movie. I would really, really urge everyone, especially if you're a fan of Tupac. I know there's been a lot of negative things said about other people outside of the movie, but I really encourage you to actually go and watch this movie for yourself, because to me personally, and I'm someone who, if I take a liking to someone, so for example, if I take a liking to Tupac, it's my thing to try to understand the person. And so over the years that I've listened to his music, I didn't just listen to his music, but I did research on him and tried to learn about him. I was living in Baltimore for a couple of years, and when I found out that he lived in Baltimore at one point, I wanted to figure out, okay, well, where did he live? And I actually drove past his the house that he grew up in, and just to see, what it was that he lived in. And I did research on his family, and of course, one of my favorite black heroes, Mrs. Sada Shakur, is actually his aunt. So doing research on that, and Afeni Shakur and Matulu Shakur, and basically all these facets of his life that I've done research on, as far as doing internet searches and whatnot and trying to dig up information on him. I can say that for me, as someone who I pay attention to all the components, not just the thug life image of Tupac, but also the political image, the social activist image. I really feel like this movie did an excellent job of portraying each side to Tupac, to where it really does show the layers of him. And honestly, I think for people who might not understand him and some of the things he did, it really does make you walk out of the theater kind of understanding more about him. So for me, I've always known that he was at the core of it. I always knew that he was a activist. I knew that he, in Baltimore, for example, he used to be a part of a socialist party, a revolutionary party inside of Baltimore. And of course, his mother was the Black Panther leader, Afeni Shakur. So I've always known about that layer of him, and that I had that understanding that this is someone who is really a child of the Black liberation movement. I would say after the movie, I understand Tupac later in his life a little bit more. So one thing for me, I like how, and I'm not going to give away the movie, although if you're a fan of Tupac, you probably know these big events inside of his life. So I'll just, more so lean on, what we do know about him. So most people know that Tupac went to prison when he was charged of rape, but he was found guilty of like sexual assault or something like that. And because of that, he was sent to prison. I've always felt that his decision to take a deal with Death Row and work with Suge Knight was a really bad decision, and I've always felt like that was I want to say I looked down on a decision, but I always felt like he compromised himself by that decision. But understanding his frame of mind whenever he was at that point and he was in prison and he was trying to get money just to pay bail. He was trying to get the record label to actually pay him for work that he did, trying to get money from movies he did, but no one was giving him money. And he was literally had his back up against the wall to the point where he really did not have a tangible choice other than staying in prison, or if he wanted to get out of prison, he had to take a deal with death row. So really understanding why he made that decision. And of course, you may say that that decision cost him his life because ultimately dealing with death row kind of led him down a path to where he ultimately did die. And it's believed that the reason why Tupac was killed was because he jumped a gang member in Las Vegas, and that same guy went and got his boys and did a drive-by on him. That's the common held belief. But to understand that this wasn't something that he just did easily, I think I didn't agree with it, but I got it. And that was important for me because when you look at someone who you look at as a political revolutionary and you realize that they compromised themselves essentially, to understand that it didn't come easily and to understand that it really was something that that person really didn't have any other choice. I appreciate that they really showed that. So that was the big thing that I took away from the movie. So I'm going to talk about the movie a little bit. I'm not going to get into detail in case anyone wants to watch it, although of course this is a historical event, so you probably know most of what happened in this movie anyways. But just to talk about it, so Demetrius Shipp, who's the actor that played Tupac, I heard so many negative things about the acting in this movie, and I'm trying to figure out what movie were they watching, because this guy freaking nailed Tupac. Like, I'm not going to compare him exactly to Denzel playing Malcolm X, but there are certain moments where the same way that people felt like Denzel was being possessed by the spirit of Malcolm X, so to say, you honestly felt like you were watching Tupac. Like, this is not an actor, this is legit Tupac. And so that guy killed it to me. And especially, I have to give him his props because he wasn't an actor prior to this. This is his first movie role. And so he did excellent. He got, I look for the little things. So, for example, in Malcolm X, I'm looking for the mannerisms. Do you have the mannerisms of Malcolm X? And Denzel nailed the mannerisms. And Demetrius Shipp nailed Tupac's mannerisms from when, you see Tupac in interviews when he gets hyped, when you see him having fun, when you see him popping off on someone. He nailed it down like to a T. And this dude deserves his props. Everyone who is hating, I know I see 50 Cent was hating, saying that this movie is trash. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what have you done better? Because that movie was not trash. So Demetrius, you nailed it. I do agree with one thing though, with the criticism that Jada Pinkett had against the movie. I get it and I don't get it at some points, and this is why. I agree that, first of all, if Jada Pinkett Smith is living, there's no reason why they couldn't go to her and, get a real life telling of what happened between her and Pac. However, I did question her tweeting this the day of the release of the movie, whereas these clips of her with Pac were actually on the internet for weeks leading up to the movie. And I also feel like it's a little bit more like, okay, yeah, she's living, so we could actually have gotten a real life depiction of what actually did happen between her and Pac as far as their relationship. However, if you're going to be reasonable and think about different movies that have been made from different people, maybe where people aren't living, people embellish stories into the storyline. That's kind of a part of making a biopic. Not everything is going to be something that actually did happen. I'm very sure that when it comes to every single classic biopic, whether it's Ali, the Ray Charles one, the Malcolm X biopic, any classic, they embellish things. They take things that they piece from interviews. So, I'm guessing they have a scene where Jada and Tupac get inside of a verbal argument, and I'm thinking that they took it from an interview that she did, where she was explaining how before Tupac died, her and him were on good terms, but they had a fight. So they created a fight between her, and of course, it wasn't actually what happened. But I don't think it's any reason not to watch the movie. As far as Afeni Shakur, supposedly she did not approve of all of the movie, but we have to know that she approved of at least some of it. Reason being, she controlled his estate, and so she had to approve of some of this, And I think that the movie really, if anything that you've ever heard about Tupac, it really got into detail on every single thing about him. Because what do we know about Afeni Shakur? We know that she was a Black Panther, and we know that she actually ended up being on drugs, but she got clean, and Tupac loved her all the way through, and that relationship, is shown so strong. My favorite scene in the movie, I'm not gonna spoil it, but is whenever she visits Tupac in jail, and you really see that relationship, and you understand how much he loved his mother. So my thing is, it didn't show anything negative about her, any negative depictions of her. Of course, they have the scene where she was on crack, but we know for a fact that did happen because Tupac talked about it in numerous songs. He talked about how his mother was on crack. So that's all, again, if that's the reason why you're not going to watch the movie, I'm going to say, you should probably watch it first. And just understand, what happened before you make a judgment on the movie. So other things, the movie, I think it was a good, decent movie. It's definitely better than a Biggie biopic. And regardless of anything, I would probably give it like an 8, maybe a 7.5, because it really does show you who Tupac was. I mean, period. It shows you the layers of him. It shows you why he thought the way he did, why he reacted the way he did, why he reacted the way to Biggie the way he did. And that is what I think is the important takeaway. Was the, everything on cue exactly with the directing or the different scenes? Probably not 100%. But again, the thing that we're supposed to take away from this movie is who Tupac was. And I think anyone who watches this movie, especially younger generations, you will really figure out who this guy was. So I think that's my only comments on the movie. Again, especially if you're a Tupac fan, I encourage you watch this movie. I know that people are saying not a negative things, and this is one of them times I'm gonna actually say you need to watch it for yourself. Because I'm thinking that this is gonna be a whack movie, and literally like 20 minutes into the movie, I'm like, this is good, So yeah, watch it for yourself. Anyone who has watched it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Whether you thought it gave Tupac justice for his image, and I just love to know your thoughts on the movie overall. So please like and comment and subscribe.